It's Dee Dee on the spot.
Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. Before I get to our guests here today, I'd like to remind everyone that if you enjoy this content, to please give a like and subscribe down below. We greatly appreciate it. We have Kayla Murphy here on the show. You can follow her on Instagram. She goes by Kayla Murphy. She is an IFBB pro. She's an X-Frame Army athlete, and she's also certified in weightlifting. I am not going to read that certification because I will probably get it wrong, but Kayla, thank you for being on the show.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So why don't you give us a little bit of a backstory? What inspired you to adapt a more healthy and fit lifestyle?
Well, I've actually always lived this kind of lifestyle. My parents, they raised us. I'm the youngest of five, so they had to feed us all the time. But I've been an athlete my entire life, so I kind of it was just part of being an athlete for me. It was eating healthy. Obviously, I used to be able to eat a little bit more of whatever the heck I wanted to a long time ago. Now it's a little different because I'm older, but I played two sports, and even in college I played two sports. So it was just, that was a part of my life. I didn't really have a choice to eat like an asshole all the time. So it was just part of being that dual sport athlete.
What sports did you play in college?
I ran track and I played volleyball.
Oh, wow. What position were you in volleyball?
I was an outside right side hitter.
Outside right side hitter. Oh,
Pretty funny because I was probably the shortest person in the front row, but I had
if you have hops, it doesn't matter. Where'd you go to college?
I started out my freshman, sophomore year. I went to a school called Lewis University in Romeoville, Illinois. It was a Division II school. Ended up feeling like I was in prison because I'd hated my major. I hated it. Sports management. It was not what I wanted to do, but it was the closest thing to what I wanted to do. And as soon as my junior year was about to start, I realized, holy crap, I have to do all these finite math classes, all these management classes, law classes. I was like, no thanks. I want to learn about the human body, and I want to learn more about exercise science. So I transferred to a Division III school so that I didn't lose a year of eligibility, and went to North Central College in Naperville, Illinois, and got my degree there. And then after I graduated from there, I went and got my master's in exercise science at App State in North Carolina.
It's definitely a hard thing to really work with, but at what point did you really finally start to really take your weightlifting, your nutrition seriously? Was it in college or was it after?
I think for me, I actually weightlifting I started getting really serious when I was in college. I actually had a personal trainer when I was I think it was my senior year of high school. I started working with a personal trainer, but ended up tearing my ACL playing volleyball my senior year of high school too. So that really sucked, but it didn't hold me back from still trying to get back in the swing of things and still playing volleyball. I didn't get scared to play again. So I did that, and I'm trying to think. Weightlifting, I think really Olympic weightlifting, I started getting super serious about it when I was in grad school, when I got to do my internship with the United States Special Ops Command. That was above and beyond the coolest thing I've ever done in my life. And I loved every second of it. It was crazy hearing all those guys' stories and just seeing they'd show up. Oh, I haven't slept for 48 hours, but I'm going to lift anyways. I'm like, what? No, thanks. But that was probably when I started getting really interested in Olympic weightlifting, because we were pounding them with that. We were training them and doing Olympic weightlifting with them to develop more power for them. And then I did powerlifting in grad school too. I did a competition in grad school and I won. It was cool. But my dad was a competitive power lifter. So I've literally been lifting since I was 6. Not really, but kind of. I picked up a 45-pound barbell when I was 6 years old. No big deal. But my dad taught me everything. He taught me how to lift, from the get-go. Taught me how to squat, taught me how to bench, taught me how to deadlift, basics, core lifts. From then, going into college and being interested in this and wanting to learn more and be better at it, I kept learning. I kept trying to do new things. I'd watch different athletes, talk to different coaches, and I really, really, really liked being strong. it was my thing to be better than all the boys in high school. I was like, I need to be faster. I need to be stronger than every single one of these motherfuckers. No questions asked. So it's just always been in me to just be strong. But then when I started bodybuilding, it was a whole different realm. No one cares about how much you can lift when you're standing on that stage, Kayla. Nobody cares that you can bench 225 pounds. No one cares you can bench or that you can squat 300 pounds. And it was hard at first. I was like, what's the point of being in here? It's all about aesthetics now. So, and I get that now. And I'm still strong. I still can bench 225 pounds. I could probably squat 300 if I tried. I just haven't in a really long time to avoid the chances of getting hurt.
Did you find when you were starting out that it was not that you weren't able to put on as much muscle as, say, someone who had never worked out in their entire life and then finally started to work out? Did you find that because you had been working out kind of consistently your entire life that it was harder for you to kind of get those beginner gains that a lot of other people get?
That is actually a super awesome question because that's so true. It's like that novice effect. Someone that's novice is obviously going to put on more mass faster than me because it takes more stimulus for me in order to put on mass. So, and a different stimulus because they can't do the same thing and over and over and over. They can do the same workout for probably 12 weeks and keep changing. But if you put someone that's a little bit of a higher level or elite, a level more advanced, they're not going to respond that way anymore. And I was like, what the hell at first, but it takes a little bit more for me to put on that mass. When I first started, I was originally wanting to do women's physique. And then a couple months into my prep, I actually herniated a disc deadlifting. So I had to stop, took 2 months off, had surgery. As soon as the doctor said, you're clear to go back and lift, he said, just not heavy squatting, heavy deadlifting. And I said, what's heavy to you? Might not be heavy to me. So you're going to have to be more specific. But as soon as he gave me the go-ahead, I went right back in. I jumped into a prep. But I lost so much muscle mass just from taking 2 months off. If you don't use it, you lose it. That's real. It's a real story right there. But it was difficult. And then my coach was like, you know what? Let's do figure instead. Let's just get you super lean, and then we'll put on mass when you do an off season, and you'll bump yourself up. I was like, okay, that's fine. As long as I can get myself on stage, get the feel for it, see what it's like, I was okay with it.
What was the hardest part about the nutrition when you started out? Was it the clean eating? Or I know you kind of already said that you've been clean eating a lot, but was it hard just not being able to have any of those snacks really at all and kind of restricting yourself to just the clean eating?
Yeah, it was rough, definitely, because me and ice cream have a really good relationship. Me and Ben & Jerry's, but it was tough at first, but I was just so determined to do this right, to do this well, and that I kind of just tried to put it out of my mind, and I tried to put it out of sight too, so I wouldn't buy that stuff. And at the time when I first started, I was actually dating a kid. He wanted to do it too. He was definitely not. That was not the lifestyle that he grew up. He didn't even grow up in a healthy lifestyle either. So it was a complete change for him, and it was really hard for him because that stuff's addicting, and people don't get it, and it's cheap too, and that's what sucks. We found out real quick that eating healthy is so much more expensive than eating like crap. But it was actually hard because I had to eat like 3 times as much as I was before, and I was like, what? I was like force feeding myself. And I'm like, this is just week 1 primer diet right here. Just meat and vegetables, and that's about it. Like ground turkey and mixed vegetables. That was all I was eating. And I was like shoveling this stuff in my mouth. And I'm like, thank God I got 3 hours until the next time I have to eat. And now I'm like finishing my meals, and I'm like, God damn it, 3 hours can't come fast enough.
Were there any tips and tricks that you used in order to force yourself to eat it? Did you just imagine that you were eating not as much, or are there any mental tricks that you used?
No, my coach actually told me, he's like, enjoy this while it lasts, because you're gonna start to get hungry. So you're not feeling hungry now, just wait. You're gonna finish your meal, 5 minutes later, you're gonna be starving, and then you have to wait 3 hours before you can eat again. So it was tough getting through that 1 week, and then when your metabolism starts to speed up, then you're just like, shh, damn, can I eat now? Can I eat again? Can I have some carbs now? Can I cheat yet? No, got to keep going. It's like, dang it. All right. So it's like a mental thing it was a huge mental piece for me. But I eventually got used to it. It's always hard to start, but then you get used to just pretty much putting yourself through agony, and then it's okay.
Were there any body parts when you started out that just naturally genetically were just bigger than everything else and you kind of had to slow down the training? Like for me specifically, it's my back where I can't do it as much just because it just naturally looks like that. Were there any areas like that for you, and how did you sort of compensate for kind of having to work other areas more?
So my legs just want to put muscle. They want muscle. Everyone's like, oh, I'm so jealous of you. And I'm like, I'm jealous that your back is bigger than mine. I don't want my legs to, if your legs are too big, then it takes away from that taper. So you don't, and then my lats have to just get 3 times the size if my legs are going to keep growing. So I actually cut down the amount of days that I was doing legs. So I do legs once a week, and I feel like I skip leg day, but my legs are they're always big. And that's my dad's fault right there. But
you have the greatest genetics ever. You only have to do leg day once a week. Are you kidding me? I would be thanking the Lord on my knees every single day. Thank you that I don't have to do legs. Oh my God, I'm already jealous. Jeez, come on. When it came to working out, did you ever suffer? I mean, obviously there's so many misconceptions that are still alive even today, but they have gotten better as time has gone by. I mean, there's still obviously those women that believe that if they touch one weight, they're going to turn to the rock for some reason, miraculously. Did you ever have sort of a fear like that, even though you were growing up when you started, that you didn't want to just get too big, or was there always sort of a drive to you where just like, screw that, I just want to be me and I just want to put on muscle and just look good?
It was a mix of both, actually. It really was, because I wanted to look big, and I wanted to look muscular, and I wanted to look scary to people for a while. Like when I was in high school, I wanted to be intimidating, and now I'm just like, I'm the biggest softie that you're ever going to meet. I would never just start a fight with somebody. Everyone's like, oh, she can kick my ass. I'm like, I probably could, but I'm not going to. But it was when the stigma of like girls that are super like overly muscular are disgusting, because I got made fun of mine all throughout high school, all throughout college. Even people would make comments, say, oh my God, that's disgusting, like you're gross. And I'm like, wow, thanks, I put a lot of hard work into this and you think it's gross. So for a little bit it was kind of like, well, if I do this bodybuilding thing, I'm probably going to look disgusting like some of the women that go to the Olympia. But then they actually got rid of female bodybuilding and broke it down into different classes so that are a little bit more appealing to the eye, which I still was really hesitant when someone first told me that I should do this. I was like, I'm going to look so disgusting. I'm big as it is. I get made fun of on a daily basis for looking like this. You think I'm going to step on stage all diced up like that and not get made fun of? And then I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go talk to this guy and talk to this guy about coaching. And then I just like, might as well try it. I'm all for trying just about everything once.
So one of the big things that I like to talk about too is that the fitness community is huge on Instagram, and they're very, very supportive. What has that support been like for you, especially since you said there were comments sometimes and you were sometimes made fun of for looking good? How much did that really help, having that support whenever you would post something? I mean, all these people would just say, oh my God, you look great, you look amazing. What does that mean to you?
It means a lot. It really does mean a lot. And I know, like, I don't post like huge thank yous all the time, and I don't know if like many of my followers really realize like how much it means to me that they appreciate my hard work. And it's not just the way that I look, it's like what it takes to get there. That's what really resonates with me, is that people don't just think, oh, genetic freak right there. No, I have good genetics, thank God, but I have to work my ass off just as hard as anybody else to look like this, or to mentally and physically. Like, it's not easy. People think, oh, it must be so easy for her to get like that. And I'm like, no, I can be all diced up. And I actually just made a post today, a video of me posing. And I was like, remembering I was so upset with how I looked in that very moment. And now looking at it, I'm like, why the hell was I so mad? That's so stupid. I shouldn't have been mad. I looked phenomenal, and I was like looking at myself now. I'm like, what the hell am I doing with my life? But the people that always give me good praises and give me good feedback, even the haters, more fuel to my fire.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I don't care if you don't like me, don't follow me. You don't got to tell me. And like, it's like 1 out of 10 people will say something bad. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, you're insignificant. You have nothing else to do.
And like I say, angry workouts are some of the best workouts you can ever have. Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. So what was your first prep like? Was it a big shock for you, or since you were kind of already living a sort of healthy nutrition-wise, was it a little bit easier on you think?
It was definitely a shock still. I really was like not used to eating 6 times a day. I was used to eating 3 times a day, like a normal person. Now I'm like shoveling food in my mouth and working out in the morning and then again in the evening. Fasted cardio was a whole new thing for me. And I was like, what? I got to do this before I eat? This doesn't sound right. But just getting in that routine, and I'm a person that needs routine. So it took a little bit. So once I got used to it, got in the routine, it kind of just became second nature. But it always is harder when you're first starting out. I don't care who you are.
What was your first show like? Where was it at and how'd you do?
My first show was in Columbia, South Carolina. And I had a big head going in there. I think a little bit too big. Like I expected a lot better results. I did the novice category, and then I also did the open category as well. And I got 3rd in novice, but I got 2nd in my class in open, which didn't make sense to me. But someone had came up to me later on and said, I think you're too big for this division. And I think that they didn't want to choose you for novice because you were like, your size was so much different than everyone else. And I was like, that just doesn't make sense. It's politics. It's crazy. But I ended up, so we got 3rd in novice, 2nd in my class, which I figured I would have gotten 1st in my class because who doesn't want to get 1st, obviously. But, and I didn't realize how much presentation, how you present yourself on stage, smiling, like all the like girly stuff that I'm not good at, plays a huge role as well. Brought the flair next time, got 1st in my class in my next show. And I did a show, then 6 weeks, another show. So I went a little ham that my first year competing, and then did like a couple months, and then I did another show. And I was like, I'm spent. My body was stopped responding to stuff. But I took a little bit of time off after my 2nd show and ended up putting on too much muscle. So I had to go up a division. And my coach was like, well, all right, looks like you're going to have to do physique now. And I was like, well, that was the plan from the get-go, so that's okay with me. And that, too, was like, it was above and beyond so nerve-wracking because you have to go up there and you got to do this routine. And I'm like, I don't have rhythm at all. I can't dance like these girls do up there. Some of them were actually like legitimately doing dances. And I'm like, do you expect me to walk up there and like dance like them? Like, because I cannot do that. And he's like, no. He's like, I honestly think people that do that, it's too much. I think if you go up there and gracefully nail some mandatory poses, that it'll look better than just going up there doing a bunch of dance moves. You actually get time to see all the definition in your body that you've worked so hard for. So I was really relieved with that. And then, so now doing the routines, not such a big deal to me. But now that I'm a pro, I have to do it. I have to be up there for 1.5 minutes. That's a long freaking time to be up there. And you're just like, what do I do next? All this fun stuff. So
in between shows, obviously you put so much hard work and so much dedication into it, and at the end of it, like if you don't get a good placing or you kind of realize that you need to come back even better than you were before, how do you kind of deal with that mentally, knowing that you went all out, you did put all your effort into it, but deep down in the back of your head you're going to say, oh my god, I'm going to have to go even harder than I did before. How do you deal with that mentally?
Mentally, I enjoy, like I wanted the feedback from the judges. As as disappointed as I was with some of their choices, I still wanted the feedback. Like, what do I need to work on this off season? Every single time it was glute ham connection. You need to bring down your leg size if you're going to do figure. And I was like, okay. Or you need to bring your lats out more because your legs are so big. And I'm like, okay. Well, and I needed that. Like, and that was always a good thing to have. But it was hard to hear because you're like, did I not work hard enough? Did I not do something right? Did I screw this prep up because of that feedback? No, you didn't. You're going to bring your best package every single show that you go into. You're going to look better than you did the show before that. Or at least that's how I focus myself, is I'm going to beat that girl that I was on stage, not the person standing next to me to the left or the right of me, but me. It's a whole game versus me the whole time.
When you were doing your shows, was there ever a fear before you ever did your first show of kind of going out there with what they wear? Because I've had some girls on here be like, oh my God, I really had to psych myself up for it. Like I couldn't believe I was doing this. Was there ever sort of that apprehension of you, or were you kind of just like, hey, I worked hard on this, I'm going to show it off, I could care less?
So I've never really had that, didn't really have that fear. I mean, it was, you're like, I'm basically wearing underwear up here or a thong or something like that. But my coach he's very adamant about having us pose in the gym. He's like, you're going to have hundreds of people staring at you and you're worried about 3 people in the corner of the room over there trying to do T-bar rows. I don't think so. Get over it, because you're going to have way more people looking at you. And that's what this sport is, people looking at you, judging you based on how you look. So it was a little weird. It was hard to get used to at first, because it's like posing in the gym, doing posing practice with him, going into like the yoga room. Even if there was someone in there, I just had to say, screw it. I don't care. I'm going to walk around in here and like a swimsuit top and a thong, and I don't care what you think. You just kind of have to put it out of your mind. And then you're like, when you're at show day, everybody's dressed like that. So it's not that big of a deal. But it was a little nerve-wracking at first to be walking around.
Yeah, and I have a lot of up-and-coming bands and musicians on here, and I love to ask them the thrill of performing live, what that's like. And I think that also applies to bodybuilders and people who compete. What is that like for you when you finally get to show off all that hard work, when you're on stage and you just get to walk on there and then there's all these people that are cheering? Does it make it all worth it for you? And what is that feeling like exactly when you're walking on stage?
It's exhilarating. As soon as I stepped on stage my first show, I was like, I was made for this. I was meant to do this. I had such a rush being up there, and like I have this thing where at like an event or like a track meet, I literally could only hear my dad. He'd be yelling at me. I'm trying to run through the finish line. He's always at the finish line. I would always only hear him. And it was the same thing with my coach. It's like everyone's screaming and cheering for you, but I'm like dialed in my coach. And if my coach is saying you're doing good, then I was like, I'm doing good right now. And then he would yell out critiques as well. But being up there it's awesome. It's really rewarding to be able to stand up on that stage and be happy with the package that you brought. I loved every second of it, and I don't think I can't see myself not doing this anymore. I mean, obviously, someday I'm going to want to take a break, start a family, whatever. But it made me feel so good. I felt super confident walking up there. And just every time I do it, I'm so pumped for the next one.
Tell us the story about how you earned your pro card and what that feeling was like.
That's definitely a very interesting story, because I was one of 3 people in my class, because I'm tall. I'm a taller person for this sport. I'm 5'7". Most of the girls that I would compete against were 5 foot to 5'4". 5'6" was pretty tall too. So I'm in a class with 5'6" and up, and one of the girls was actually 6 foot in my class. That was crazy. I was like, you're tall. But so I was a little nervous. I was pretty nervous at the national show that I went to. I was looking around, like, oh, there's some girls with some really good physiques here, because I was still like feeling not so 100% about the package that I brought, because I was holding some water and I was actually a little bit heavier than I wanted to be on the stage. But I told my coach, it's like, there's some girls here that are freaking me out. I was like texting him like, I'm scared right now. And he came back and he was like, Kayla, I've literally not seen a damn person that looks better than you. And I was like, okay. All right. Deep breath. Okay. So, but it was it kind of hurt me a little bit. Not hurt me, but I was just like, dang it, that there was only 3 people in my class, because it made it that much easier to get your pro card. I mean, a pro card is a pro card. I still put in the work. I still made it here. I got first in my class, which means I got my pro card. If I got second, I would have gotten my pro card. If I got third, not so much. So I still could have not gotten my pro card. It wasn't a no matter what, you just got it. So, but it was still, it's like, I would much rather get second in a group of 10 girls in my class as opposed to 2 or 3 people. So it was a little difficult for me to kind of accept it. And I did get some grief from people that decided to make really rude comments on Instagram and saying, well, of course you got your pro card. You were the only one in your class, like all this crap. And I was like, I still worked my ass off to get here. I don't appreciate that. It's like, a pro card is a pro card. I still could have gotten third and not gotten it. And I was trying to shoot for getting that overall, but the girl that got overall, she definitely deserved it. And we actually became really good friends after that, too. So
I was going to say the first female bodybuilder that we had on here was Casey Shepard, and she was 6'3". She had the record for the world's tallest bodybuilder, and she was like 190, like for her competitive weight, like when she went on. So yeah, that was, and it turns out she only lived like 10 minutes away from me, and I had no idea. So that was really strange. But one thing that most people don't understand, and one of the things I like to bring light to on this show, is that when you guys are competing, you guys have manipulated your body through all the diet and through all the exercise and hard work to look in extreme. Like that, your body is not going to be able to maintain that look for more than even a few days after the show. How do you deal with that mentally, knowing that when you're looking in the mirror, when you're getting ready for a show, knowing that like, oh my God, I will probably never be this lean or look this good, only maybe a few more times in my life when I'm prepping for other shows, but other than that, like this is the best I'm going to look. How do you deal with that mentally?
It's really challenging. I'm still struggling with it, and I'm like 3 months post show, and I'm still like, I hate myself. But I don't. I do, but I don't. But I know how good a break is for the body, because if you continuously put yourself through that kind of stress, you're actually going to ruin your metabolism. You're going to ruin your body doing that. So I know it's the right thing. It's not I don't like the way it looks, but it's hard to transition from being shredded into being, no offense, but looking like everybody else. Mm-hmm. You're so used to being this alien standing out in a crowd, and now you're just this girl. And I'm like, I don't see myself as that, because people look at me like I'm some mystical unicorn when I walk in the gym now, and I'm like, I'm nothing special right now. Just wait. But it's hard to transition. You have to continuously tell yourself, it's temporary. I'm going to get back into a prep. It's going to come back, and then it's going to go away again. But you just have to learn how to love yourself in prep and out of prep. And it's a challenging thing when the last 5 months I've been staring at someone that's got an 8-pack in the mirror, and now there's nothing. And it's hard, and mentally it screws with your mind the most, like 2 months post show. Usually by the end of that, you're usually like, oh, whatever, I'm enjoying life. I'm eating stuff that is delicious. But I was given a weight limit to not pass, and I passed it, and now I feel bad about it. And so that's why my coach gave me a new diet. So I was like, crap. Kayla, you can't just give up. You can't just stop. You're like, he said, you're not really done prepping. You're always prepping. You can't just stop and then eat whatever you want and then expect to walk up on stage in 6 months and look better than you did before. You still have to work in between that time period too. But mentally, it was hard, and I'm constantly down on myself too a lot. And I'll tell people I'm so fat, like I'm ridiculously fat right now, and I'm not. But it's, to me, my image of me is so different than everybody else's. And some people don't understand that, and they actually get mad at me when I say that. And I'm like, I am my own worst critic. I can say whatever the heck I want to say about myself. you can say what you want to say about me too. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. I just might not believe you. I agree to disagree a lot. Let's put it that way.
How shocked were you the first time that you put on that tanner and then everything really started to pop out? Was that really just a big surprise for you?
Oh my God, I felt like an Oompa Loompa on my first show. It was ridiculous. It was fun because I'm a ginger at heart, so I'm not used to being super tan anyways. So it was like, hell yeah, I'm so tan right now. But then it's like you put on so many layers and all these coats, and it gets darker and darker and so much not realistic, and you're like, ugh, this is weird. So, and then it doesn't come off for like a month, and you're sitting there looking like you have leprosy, and you're like all speckled and spotted and everywhere. People are like, what's wrong with your skin? I'm like, oh, it's a fake tan. And they're like, you went that deep with it? And I was like, I'm a competitive bodybuilder, so yes, I did go that deep with it. But it was cool because my coach was tanning us, and he would tan us 3 days before the show. He put on like 1,000 coats on Thursday, and then Friday we'd get another layer of coats, and then Saturday he put the top coat on, and you get glazed when you're up there too, so you're shiny and glittery up on stage. But it was really cool, and I was sad when it left. I was like, dang it, now I'm back to being a pale ginger kid again.
Was it hard when you put on all that stuff? Are you not supposed to sit on anything? Are you supposed to kind of just not interact with stuff?
That was so hard. He's like, okay, make sure you wear this kind of stuff. The best thing that you can wear is like silk, something that's very light and it's not going to soak stuff up very much. I screwed up first time. I should have bought black sheets. I didn't have black sheets. I had yellow, and they got ruined. It was when I went to sleep that night. I was like, okay, I just woke up and there's like a huge body print on my bed. And I'm like, well, looks like I'm going to get black sheets from now on. And even when I travel now, I take my set of black sheets with me to the hotel because I'm not about to pay the hotel for ruining their white sheets, even though they can just bleach them and they'll be fine. But sitting down, I felt like I was walking around like a robot because it takes so long to dry. And because we have like 8,000 coats on, and I'm just like, don't touch anything, don't touch yourself. And you just stand there in front of a fan for as long as you can, half naked, and you're just freezing your ass off. Because one, you have almost zero body fat. Two, the fan is cold as shit, and Coach always turns the AC up really, really cold in his house when he would tan us. And I was just like praying to God that it would just dry faster. Please dry fast. Please dry fast. And that actually I ended up absorbing the tan better than most people do. So it didn't really come off too much. But the next day you can take a shower, which is not supposed to use soap. You just rinse off so that you can actually put clothes on and feel normal. But you're not normal because I went into Walmart the next day. That was a trip. People were staring at me hard. And I was like, don't worry about it. Because he sprayed my face too, so it looked funny. And you can't put deodorant on for 3 days because it'll turn your armpits green. Do you imagine how smelly it is backstage? It is so bad. So bad. You have girls like dousing themselves with perfume. It's not working. It's just making it worse.
So all the guys there that go to these bodybuilding shows looking for the women or whatever, don't go back on stage. You will be sorely disappointed. That's the number one thing I think that we can learn from this podcast. You will not like what you smell back there. Oh. So when it came down to the presentation part, did you find it hard to sort of get your routine down or get a routine for yourself down, or did you find it fairly easy to get one down?
So my coach, he's really like him and his girlfriend. His girlfriend is also a physique competitor as well, and she's an IFBB pro. She and him, they both help so much picking the right poses to do in the routine and teaching me how to transition gracefully from one to the next, because I'm not that graceful at things like that. So it was tough, but they really helped pick the poses that were going to look best for me. You always want to do your strong points. You always want to show the strongest part of your body up on stage. You don't want to waste time showing them your glute ham connection that really isn't there, So they definitely helped with that, and I practiced a lot, and I videotaped myself a lot. And yeah, I'm in the gym in my suit, practicing posing, feeling like that super douchebag that's taking gym selfies all the time, and I'm actually taking videos of myself doing these poses and doing my routine and pretending that the music is on. Sometimes I put my headphones in so I could hear the music, because you have to do it to music. And so I probably looked like an asshole to most people, but I just didn't care. But it was challenging for my first physique show, because I was like, I've never had to do a routine before. I've done 2 other shows and I just had to hit certain poses and then I could walk off stage. I didn't have to be up there for a minute.
One of the negative things that I found out personally when I started putting on more muscle and getting more, getting bigger overall, is that people all the time are going to ask you to like help them move furniture or like open pickle jars or do any of that stuff. Have you dealt with any of that in your life where people are just like, oh, hey, Kayla, come over and help me move I'm moving today. Can you help me with some furniture? Have you ever had to deal with that?
All the time. And not just because of me being a bodybuilder now. It was like that like when I was in high school. They're like, oh, Kayla can do that. Thanks for volunteering me. Didn't ask me if I wanted to, but yeah, it's like my mom's like, "Oh, Kayla, this is too heavy. Will you pick it up? Kayla, will you carry this? Help your dad carry this bed downstairs?" I'm like, "Sure." They're like, "Well, you're the one that always wanted to be so strong, so now you are, and you have to help pick things up." And the biggest thing that's like, it's not annoying, but it can get annoying depending on at what point in time it is, if it's during prep, is the questions. All the questions. Oh, like, what did you do to get this, like, to look like that? What did you do? What's your diet like? And I'm like, I try to be nuts about it, and I'm just like, I really don't want to sit here and have this conversation, because I feel like I'm going to be sitting here for an hour having this conversation with you. And the general population, you can talk to them about this stuff and tell them you should do this, 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 and this. They're not going to freaking do it. I just wasted a half hour of my time giving you advice that you will never take, because so many people are not willing to put in the work and make the changes to make changes in their bodies, in themselves, in their health. So it's really hard for me to take them seriously. So I'm very short and I try not to be seen, but I'm like, my first answer to most people is everybody responds differently. You can't do what I do to look like me, because it might not work for you. And they're like, oh, well, then what should I do? And I was like, I don't have enough information on you to do that. And then I'm like, that wasn't an invitation, but I can give you some pointers and you can take them how you want them.
Do you feel that you're reinforcing ginger stereotypes by being short with people sometimes when they come up and talk to you?
Well, maybe.
My best friend from high school is ginger, so I'm used to all the ginger jokes, and I still give him a hard time. So now we go to our audience favorite part of the podcast, the little questionnaire that we like to do, so more of a getting to know you. It's around a dozen questions or so, and we'll see what answers she gives us. So now for our first question, what is your go-to workout song?
Ooh, that's hard. I have so many, but I think the first one that I usually put on is by XXX. Look at Me. It just gets me super pumped. It's super inappropriate, but it gets me super pumped. This song, and I'm so sad that he's dead, but damn it. But yeah, that XXX song, Look at Me.
If you train with one celebrity, who would it be?
Oh my God, that's hard. What kind of celebrity? Does it have to be a movie star? Could it be a bodybuilder?
We could do a bodybuilder, and then we could do a movie star.
Okay. Bodybuilder, I'd have to say I'd love to lift with Dana Lynn Bailey, even though she's not competing anymore. She's still awesome. And movie star, probably The Rock.
He's our most famous answer by far.
He puts in a lot of work, and I think we'd have fun.
Now, if you could train one celebrity, who would it be?
Oh, dear God. If I could train a celebrity, oh, that's really hard. Oh, my God. I've never even thought about that, and I used to do that for a living. I used to coach. I was a strength and conditioning coach. And I've trained pro athletes before, so they're kind of celebrities, too. But, shoot. I think if it were a female, I'd want to do Scarlett Johansson, like any of the Marvels. And then if it was a guy, I definitely would want to be training Crap, what's his name? This is so bad. I should know his name. Hemsworth, Chris Hemsworth.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
the one.
What was the last TV show that you binge watched?
Shoot, I'm binge watching American Horror Story right now. I rewatch shows all the time. Like I think I've seen Dexter all 8 seasons, probably 10 times through every single one.
Is Dexter your favorite show of all time, or do you have another?
I think Dexter actually might be my favorite show of all time. It's definitely awesome.
I saved this for the last question of the questionnaire, but I'm going to go ahead because you already said it before, but what is your favorite ice cream flavor?
Oh, two different flavors by Ben & Jerry's. It's always a tie between milk and cookies or half-baked.
I got to go myself with the cookie dough blizzards at DQ. Just give me a DQ cookie dough blizzard, and I'll be happy. You can do anything else to me. I'll be happy for the rest of the night. So what is your spirit animal?
A tiger.
Tiger. Yep. Obviously.
One
So,
finger.
what is one thing that you wish you had known when you got started in fitness?
I wish I would have known. Well, fitness in general, probably more about nutrition. Because I think as an athlete, when I was in high school and college, I could have done much better about refueling my body and helping myself recover more and having less injuries. Because I got injured a lot, and I really think that nutrition has played such a big role with that too. That and sleep. I would have known a little bit more about nutrition and sleep and how important it all is.
If you could have dinner with one historical figure, who would it be?
That's a good. You got some good questions. Dang.
That's why they pay me the big bucks.
Historical figure. If I could have lunch with a historical figure, I'd have to say I definitely would want to go with a philosopher of some sort.
Yeah.
Not sure if I care which one, but a philosopher. Just talk about life.
If you could go back and witness a certain event in history out of all the events that have ever happened, what would be the one event that you would want to go back and see?
I would like to see the Bears win the Super Bowl.
All the events in history, and you're worried about an NFL? Come on! No, when I always answer that question at least once, and I would probably either like when the Titanic sank or any one of those like historical events for me would be for sure one of my things. And what is your favorite movie of all time, by the way?
Drop Dead Fred. It's I don't even know if you've ever heard of that movie.
Yeah.
Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
Favorite movie of all time. Childhood movie. Watched it thousands of times.
Is that the movie where the kid keeps getting hurt and then everyone just makes a joke out of it? Like he busts his head into the... Or am I thinking of another movie?
I think you're thinking of another movie. This is a movie about an imaginary friend.
Oh! I think mine was a different Fred than I was gonna say. I was like, that kind of sounds familiar. But yeah, now I have heard of that title before, but I haven't seen it, so I'm definitely gonna have to go and check it out. Now, if any items were put up for auction, or what item would you kill for to have if it was put up for auction? And I don't mean literally kill, but what item would you do anything for if it went up for auction?
Shit, my own freaking gym. Someone's like fully stocked. Total bodybuilder, power lifter, Olympic weightlifting gym. If someone put that thing up for auction, I'd want that in a heartbeat.
If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Teleporting.
Believe it or not, that is the most popular one that we've had. I don't know. Me, it would either be fly, and then one person was like, I want to read people's thoughts, and I was like, no, you're not going to like what you find.
No.
Especially being a girl, you will definitely not like what you find. You will never want to leave the house, ever. So, yeah, absolutely. So, so what was the best piece of advice you've ever heard?
My dad always had this quote that he would say to his football players, and then it just kind of always resonated with me and always stuck with me in life and in sport. If you always do what you've already done, then you'll always get what you've already got. So just the point of you can't keep doing the same thing over and over and over and expect a different result, basically.
Yep. We got 2 final questions here now. What is one thing that you will always have in your fridge?
Shoot. I will always have some kind of meat in my fridge and eggs, almond milk and eggs.
And what is one thing that you would change about the sport of bodybuilding if you could?
that could shoot. That's it's so political.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that they weren't so focused on who you are and how many followers you have and all that stuff, and actually just looked at someone's physique compared to someone else's. And because there's been so many people that have just gotten gypped that they do not deserve that. They didn't deserve that at all. It's just this thing. It's like, it's really frustrating because and there's one thing, Juliana Malacarne, she was 4-time Miss Olympia for women's physique. She didn't compete this year because of other things besides like life things, but also because of what they were expecting of everyone's physique coming in, what they wanted everyone to look like. They're starting to get more gnarly and it's not pleasing to the eye. And she's like, then she would just have to step up her drug game, step up everything. And it's just like, she's like, I'm not willing to do that to my body right now. It's not worth it to me right now. They just were asking way more. And she's not sponsored by anybody. All this stuff is coming out of her pocket. I don't have any sponsors either. And it's all coming out of my pocket. So, and there's so many people that have these sponsors. And I'm like, what do you even, like, do you even do anything for that? Did you pay for your followers? I don't know. Yeah. But it's just like, it's so tough with social media being just the center of everything. You're known as soon as you walk in the door. So if someone that's got 10,000 followers and has like 3 different sponsors, everyone for some reason knows who they are and thinks very highly of them, except for the girl that's got no sponsors and has an amazing physique and has just absolutely thrown everything that she has into this. And she ends up getting second call outs.
I'm using this next question sort of as an answer to some questions that I get. I've had questions because you are, I think, the 12th or the 13th health and fitness individual that I've had on, and I've had questions say, Ryan, why'd you only have women on? Why don't you have any guys on? Okay, there's a 2-part answer to that question. Number one, if I had a guy on, this is literally how guys talk about how about their fitness. Bro, how much do you lift? That's about it. That's about it. So that would be a very, very short podcast. I am going to have a guy on in a week to come and talk about it. But yeah, it's a lot easier to talk to people who aren't just going to be like, yeah, I lift blah, 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 and then that's the whole conversation. And secondly, because in the sport of bodybuilding, women really do have to face a double-edged sword where it's about looking big and looking good, but then you also, there's that the judges are still looking for something feminine, and I think that can be especially tricky for you. How do you tend to balance that how do you kind of know when the limit is reached when you're like, I don't want to become like so huge where like even I'm like, oh my God, this just doesn't look good on me. Has that been a struggle for you?
No, because I haven't, like, you've got to really, like, you really have to feed yourself. You have to feed yourself to grow, and you have to eat a lot. Like, I know a girl that's actually, and it's weird. I think it's weird that people are competing in women's bodybuilding still because it's not a category at Olympia anymore. Mm-hmm. You're just going to be a pro and never be an Olympian. So it's like, why are you doing it? But I know a girl, she eats like 6,000 calories a day. And I'm just like, what?
Jeez.
It's like, well, I have to get bigger. And she's 5'3". And I'm like, yeah, she's almost 200 pounds. And I'm just like, girl, how do your joints not feel like they're going to explode? Because when I was like 195 in my last off season, I felt like I was going to explode. My skin was tight and it hurt. My joints hurt and like walking didn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to be that heavy. So it's like, I don't think I'm big. I'm big for an average girl, but I'm not massive. When you actually can be mistaken for a man from behind, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I used to like, make sure my hair's super long.
Yeah. Well, no, that's the thing, because I always say, like, more power to you, but I do agree. And even for guys, I mean, guys, obviously, they don't have that risk where for guys, it's just like they have one speed where they can just go, but then ladies, they kind of have to weave through a little bit. But even with guys, there's a certain part where I'm like, okay, dude, you don't even look like you're human anymore. It's like, just tone it down a little bit. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's just a hard thing. And I think today, like, one of the things I like to talk about too is with today's technology, the way it advances and all these drugs that are becoming available, I don't know what the future is going to look like for bodybuilding in like 10, 15 years, because all of a sudden there'll probably be these people that weigh like 500 pounds coming up on stage, and it's something that we got to worry about.
Well, that's why they actually created the new category of classic physique. Mm-hmm. Arnold was a bodybuilder, mm-hmm. like what Phil Heath is. That's what Arnold was. But back then, he looked like Chris Bumstead. Like, mm-hmm. He looked good. It's pleasing. That is, I don't like Phil Heath. He just looks uncomfortable. You look like you can't fit in your own clothes. Like, how do you have to get stuff like personally made for you to like, because you can't fit in anything. So it's just unrealistic. And if you've ever seen a shot from backstage when they're doing a back lat spread or something, or a back double, their guts, it's like they're about 9 months pregnant. Can't keep their guts in because their organs are so big because they're on so many drugs, and they're killing themselves. Like, I mean, Dallas McCarver, like, he literally was doing stuff and it ended up killing him. He had too much blood and he choked on his own blood.
You had prematurely answered one of my questions that I like to ask, but I'm going to ask it anyway. When it comes to buying clothes, how difficult has that been for you? This is my favorite question to ask out of the entire podcast that I have. When it comes to the clothes, how difficult has it been for you finding clothes that fit, and how do you compensate for that?
So, Kayla has 2 different wardrobes: in season prepping clothes and off season clothes. So I've got to have like all my. I don't even fit in my mediums, my schmediums anymore. They look like smalls on me now. So it's like I gotta wear larges. So I have to get new clothes for both seasons because I just don't fit in them anymore. And like all my like prep clothes are all a lot like crop tops and all that fun stuff to wear because you're like, yeah, I look cute in this now, but I won't be wearing that in about 2 months.
Oh my God, I just forgot. Okay, so this is a good question here that I did forgot. I kind of forgot, and thank you for reminding me of crop tops, because my question that I was going to ask on the questionnaire is, what is your favorite fashion trend of all time, and what is your least favorite fashion trend of all time?
I love crop tops, and I love them, but I definitely can't wear them in the off season. I'm not like confident enough in myself to wear them, even though I've seen way worse people wearing crop tops. I should not be wearing them. But all the dad bods on the beach rocking the crop top. Shout out to those guys. I waisted jean shorts and crop tops, but like in the gym, I would always say like probably like some really dope leggings. Like from Violate the Dress Code is the sickest leggings ever. Wearing those and wearing a crop top, and then my least favorite. Well, I hate when people wear lifting gloves, but that's not really a fashion statement. Hate it. It's like
I wear lifting gloves. I know mine have like torn up now, so I can't. But when I was in college, I didn't wear lifting gloves because I didn't want to be guilty of association. But yeah, can we just give a shout out to the '80s crop tops where the guys would have the mullets and the short shorts and the crop tops back in the glory days of just fashion. That is an era that I wish I would have been a part of.
Honestly, I hate when guys wear sweatpants to the gym because all I can think about is your legs must be really small, and that's why I wear pants.
Yes, that's why even though my legs are an area that I really do need to work on, I always wear shorts because you gotta look in the mirror because you won't be motivated then. And then lastly, or one of the last questions I like to ask is, obviously you're from the Midwest just like me. I'm from Minnesota for the 100th time that I've mentioned that on this podcast, but we're known for living in areas that can have really, really cold winters. How do you deal with that, knowing that for about half the year, like we like to say up in Minnesota, you only have to look good 6 months out of the year because the other 6 months are going to be sweater weather, and no one's going to care about what you look like. How do you still find that motivation to go and work out when it's like 0 degrees outside?
Well, fun fact, I was living in North Carolina for the last 5 years, so I didn't have to worry about that too much. And now that I'm back here, it'll be a whole different story. But I'm a very warm-bodied person, so I'm hot all the time, and it sucks. My body temperature is just up there. I'm sweating all the time. So and I used to do this when I was a kid too. I would literally go outside in a t-shirt and shorts in the middle of winter, no shoes on, no socks, and I'd walk in the snow. Didn't bother me. Don't care. But it's gonna be a difficult transition. Having to get used to driving in the snow again, and having to start my car. Because I used to start my car before I would go to work when I was in North Carolina, and it was only like 36 degrees outside. And I'm like, everyone at home would make fun of me right now. If I told them that I had to start my car because it was freezing outside.
I got the perfect Instagram idea for you during the winter. Just wear your crop top and then be snow throwing, and then just be like, oh yeah, just average winter or whatever. That would be perfect. And my dad, he had surgery on his knee, so like he has no feeling in that right knee, so he wears shorts ever since I was a kid. Wears shorts no matter what the temperature is. He'll be out snow throwing -20. Everyone always calls him shorts. I don't understand how he can do it, but that's another thing. And I gotta mention to everyone out there, I mention this every time we bring up the cold weather. Do not go outside with wet hair in the cold weather. I repeat, do not go outside with cold hair with wet hair in the cold weather. During college, basically, long story short, very very sweaty after a workout. I showered in my dorm room, not in the gym. So I would walk back to my dorm room. I had frosted tips basically, and I mean the girls loved it because I looked like In Sync for about 15 minutes. So the girls loved it. But then it disappeared, and then it went back to normal. Then everything went back to normal. So, but then again, you guys, yeah, don't go out there. You will get frosted tips, and it will feel like crap when it freezes up.
It has to be a rude awakening for me because it was really warm last winter for North Carolina. It was pretty warm. In February, it was like 78 degrees just one day. The next day, it was back down to like 40, and I was like, well, that was a trip. But it'll be definitely a rude awakening and doing prep starting December 1st. Ooh. Oh, Christ. What am I getting myself into down here?
And I've always forgot to ask this question, actually, and it just popped into my head. Have you found that being bigger and being muscular, you've kind of had to act nicer in front of people because people might just assume that you're a mean person? Have you found that to be the case?
I mean, I have a really good RBF, resting bitch face. But I put it on when I go to the gym because I really I go in the gym and I want to be there and I want to get my stuff done and get the hell out of there. I'm not there to socialize. I told my friend the other day, I was like, I'm here to pick up weights, not dates. So don't talk to me when I'm lifting.
Buys for the guys.
Yeah. But I try to look pleasant, but usually when you're, especially in the middle of prep, it's so hard because you're hungry and you're so exhausted, so tired. You're probably sore, little on edge, and it's hard to be pleasant. But my job was working with people, so I was like, I'm really good at faking this happy face. It's not real, and I would tell them, this isn't real right now, and they knew because they all knew that I was competing, and they're like, you're doing a great job, Kayla. And I was like, but they always made me feel better. So people that understood what I was going through or respected what I was going through and didn't try to push my buttons, props to those people. But there were plenty of times where it was like, Kayla, what's going on with your face right now? You look pissed off. Because I am, but you're looking at someone that asked you a question very nicely. And I was like, ugh.
I mean, I know you said you're starting a prep in December. What shows are you planning on doing?
Right now, I've only got one that I'm doing for sure, and that's in St. Louis. It's St. Louis Pro. I guess depending on how that goes, I might do another one after that. But being a pro, you actually get a list of shows, and then you have to send it into the IFBB Pro League, and then they'll send you the paperwork. You're signing a contract. If you don't show up, you get fined. You don't have to pay to enter like you do in the NPC, but you get fined if you don't show up. So they say, well, unless it's like a medical emergency that you don't show up, a death, blah, 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 blah. There's reasons that you cannot show up. But you have to pick the shows that you're interested in doing. They'll send you the paperwork. If you send that paperwork back in, you are locked into that show. You have to do it. So right now I'm only thinking about one, and that's in March, at the end of March in St. Louis.
Is not getting a pump considered a medical emergency? If someone ever did that, I would let them pass. I'd be like, you jokester, you're fine. You don't have to show up. But yeah, so I like to end the podcast on these final two questions that I ask everyone, and especially for health and fitness people. What would you say to someone? I mean, I know you get this question 1,000 times, so this is just a walk in the park for you. But if someone were to walk up to you and say, "Hey, you look amazing. I want to start to adapt to a more healthy and fit lifestyle," what's the best piece of advice that you would give that person in order for them to be successful?
I always tell people it starts in the kitchen. No matter what, you're like, how much exercise do I have to do? You can work out 3 times a day, but if you don't feed yourself right, you're never going to see any results. So it starts in the kitchen. I was a psych minor in college, and I took a health psychology class, and everything stuck with me because it was so interesting. And it's a lot of diets fail because people try to do cold turkey, or they try to do one extreme to the next. And I always tell people, take your goal, cut it in half. So if that is to eat healthy all day, every day, you're probably not going to do that right off the bat. So take that goal, cut it in half. Eat healthy all day, 3 days a week. Do that for the next 5 weeks. It takes about 30 days to start a new habit. Do that for the next 5 weeks. Track everything that you're eating. Keep track of it all. No questions asked. Have a journal. Write it down. I have stuff literally written. Like, this is what I'm eating. Then I'm eating this. Then I'm eating that. This is the macros. And I tell people, just cut it in half, because going straight into it, all extreme like that, is going to be pretty unsuccessful. And don't get discouraged, because this stuff takes time. It's not going to happen in a day.
And lastly, if you could talk to your 18-year-old version of yourself, what would be the best piece of advice you would give her?
Oh, God, don't be an asshole. No. Probably to listen to my dad more. Listen to Dad. Do whatever he says. Because I was that rebel child that you tell me to do something, I'm like, okay, didn't do it. Like, I got to figure shit out on my own. I gotta screw up.
Absolutely. So again, you guys, Kayla Murphy here. You can go follow her on Kayla's Murphy on Instagram. I highly recommend just watching her workouts and seeing some of her posts. You will be inspired to maybe do a little more crunches, stop eating those Twinkies, and get yourself in shape. Kayla, do you want to give anyone a shout out before we wrap it up here?
I'd like to shout my coach out. He is Matt Cusano, Mr. Hyde _X frame, I think is what it is. But I could probably totally butcher that. But I tag him in everything on my posts. Him and his girlfriend Bianca, super freaking phenomenal people, best coaches, only coaches I've had, and I couldn't see myself with anyone else. And obviously, shout out to my family and all my support system throughout all this crazy stuff I do to myself.
Absolutely, and we really appreciate you coming on and sharing with us your story, and it was really great to hear. And we love, help promoting more healthy and fit lifestyles, especially with the way that, obesity is popping up and everything. So we really, really appreciate it. And this is Ryan Johnson, DD on the Spot, signing out. Have a great day, everyone. Okay.